the age of social media, and there are a new type of celebrities. Hence, there are a new type of followers as well. These celebrities are YouTubers, web show stars, Twitter KOLs, Insta famous celebs, TikTok stars, and more. We all love to look up to them and draw a conclusion and a comparison between us and our favorite celebrities. We live in a life where the role of our few inches wide and tall phone has completely changed. We use it for more than just calling and texting. In this age of social media, the influencers play a major role in how we live our life. Today, how you choose to identify themselves in their daily lives, online communities, and social networks are heavily impacted by the identity cues they pick up from social media influencers. Sometimes these cues come with positive outcomes and sometimes negative. Identity formation is a major stage of development of every individual that they go through in their lifetime at least once. And when taken into the account the relationship with social media, particularly social media influencers, the results are fairly consequential. Hi, this is Rayazlan here, and I am joined by a panel of experts who are going to talk about how the influencers are shaping the realities of our youth and creating a major cultural consequences, or are there factors at play? We have on our panel today Akbar Chodri, who is a stand-up comedian, artistic director at Lol Wale. Akbar Chodri is a stand-up comedian from Karachi. He's been closely involved in the comedy scene in the city and also leads the interventional comedy troupe Lol Wale in addition to performing with the local and international comedy acts. However, since the pandemic started, his focus shifted to digital content and with his weekly series Ranty Rone, which has been received very well. Also, we have with us Safa Rauf, who is an influencer, CEO of Mad Media and Mad Talent. And she loves to create content around lifestyle and travel. Last but not the least, we have Kamil Sarub Khan, who has 20 years of experience in the media, telecom, FMCG, sports, and content development. He is one of those people who have seen the digital industry to be established in Pakistan and grow. He began his career with the media industry, works up his way to become the marketing professional, leading the leading the digital acceleration and transformation initiative at Nestle Pakistan. He also launched PCB into the digital world, generating revenue of more than $5 million, making it the fastest growing cricket board in the world. And digital streaming and generation with his team, he created PSL into the biggest and most loved brand of Pakistan. He has also launched Cricket World Cup and also runs a fitness startup. Currently, he is the COO of the oldest FMCG brand of Pakistan, Mitchell's Fruit Farms. Hello, everyone.
Hi, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. First of all, I would like to ask every one of you how it all started. What was your first introduction with the digital world? Obviously, the word influencer came in like last 4-5 years. Before that, it used to be key opinion leaders or something like that. So, आपका पहला introduction इस world के साथ क्या था? Safa, I'll start with you.
So I started off as the digital media manager at Coca-Cola. That was my first introduction to the digital world of understanding how Facebook impressions work, how Instagram ads work. And that was my first overall introduction to digital media. And to be honest, as the first time I started this, I realized that this is exactly what I want to do for the rest of my life. Moving on, after 2-3 years, I started up my own digital media agency called Mad Media. And again, started another talent management agency called Mad Talent, which represents not celebrities, but actually influencers. Started my own blog because I wanted to create content for travel, and then realized having a Pakistani passport, you can't always be traveling. So I started shifting my content towards entrepreneurship, lifestyle, how you can start your own business, how you can be more financially independent. I feel like when you enter the world of digital, it starts off very small, but then with time passing by, you just kind of catch on and you start doing things which when you think about it in perspective, they seem quite big, but then when you start those little things, they are sort of just parts in your path that you're kind of just picking up on because of how audience wants to see something, or how the overall digital audience in Pakistan is also ever changing with the trends and things that they want to learn. You kind of just pick up on that.
Okay. Kamil, I would like to ask you that how the whole journey started. If I'm not mistaken, you have also seen the era of Orkut in Pakistan, and Facebook was fairly a new phenomena back then. So how it all started and how brands started taking digital very seriously.
First of all, thank you for inviting me. Aslan, that's a very interesting question. When I started off looking into these things,
I think there are some connectivity issues at your end. We can't hear you, Kamil. Okay, let's move on to Akbar. Akbar, how it all started? What was the first step you took, and then Lol Wale and all that Ranty Rona happened? So how it all started?
Assalamualaikum ji. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Rai, for that question. I think first step से ज़्यादा relevant would be, चले मैं बता देता हूँ first step. It's always been live performance. So back in the early 2000s, मैं और मेरे colleagues जो हैं, we used to perform live. Stand-up comedy होती थी, improvisational comedy होती थी. And yeah, that was a lot of fun. फिर उस दौरान थोड़ा मतलब ऐसा नहीं था कि कहीं से वही नाजिल हुई या कुछ इंस्पायर हुआ, बस ऐसे ही फेसबुक में कभी देखा कि यहाँ पे भी लोग वीडियो लगाना शुरू कर दी है, और यूट्यूब तो जाहिर है काफ़ी टाइम से हम फॉलो कर रहे थे, लेकिन फिर उस अर्ली 2000s में 2010 में बैन भी हो गया था. उसके बाद एक रिसर्जेंस आई, तो आई जस्ट थॉट कि आई विल ट्राई माय हैंड एट इट, एंड इन अबाउट 6-7 years ago आई ट्राइड मेकिंग वीडियोस. और उसकी बड़ी एक नीश फॉलोइंग थी, बिकॉज वो सारी इंग्लिश में होती थी, बहुत कम लोग देखते थे, कोई उस पर रिस्पॉन्स नहीं आता था. बट मैं खुश था कि यार ये अच्छा है, मुझे मज़ा आता है बना के. बट देन लाइव परफॉर्मेंस वगैरह ये सारी चीज़ हमेशा फोकस रहा अंटिल दिस कोरोना टाइम, जब सब कुछ बंद हो गया, कोई और चारा नहीं था. तो मैंने सोचा कि कमरे में बैठ के मैं अपने कैमरे में चिल्ला के देखता हूँ क्या होता है. तो उसमें फिर ऑल ऑफ दीज इयर्स ऑफ लर्निंग, बीच में मैंने एक मॉर्निंग शो होस्ट किया था. उससे मुझे अंदाज़ा हुआ कि लोग जो है हमारे यहाँ, जो मासिस कह लें, वो उर्दू समझते हैं. पता नहीं ये चीज़ मुझे पहले क्यों नहीं समझ में आई, मैं अंग्रेज़ी झाड़ने में लगा रहता था. तो उर्दू में मैंने प्राइमरीली फोकस किया कि मैं वीडियोस बनाऊं, छोटी बनाऊं, और रेलेवेंट टू व्हाट इज़ गोइंग ऑन बनाऊं. तो उसी तरह फिर ये रैंटी रोने का सिलसिला शुरू हुआ. एंड इन द लास्ट ईयर आई वुड से कि my digital media presence has really increased, more so than जो मेरा पहले focus था of performance. So yeah, that is what has happened as a silver lining to the coronavirus.
Okay, Kamil, back to you. So आप कुछ interesting story बता रहे थे about your journey.
Yes, so I was saying that back in the days, this is something like 2008 odd. वहाँ पे सिर्फ ये दो बड़ी मेजर वेबसाइट्स होती थी, एक ऑर्किड एंड द अदर वन वाज जीएसएम अरीना. And none of these really had this concept of content creation, influencers. It was just about being there, and it was a very nascent stage for the digital itself. That concept wasn't even there, and I wouldn't say कि ये बहुत तेजी से ग्रो किया है. एटलीस्ट अगर मैं अपने आप को मिलेनियल भी कंसिडर करूं तो हमारे टाइम से ये बहुत तेजी से कंसिडर पेस अप करके नहीं पहुंचे हम जहाँ पे पहुंचे. सो ये बहुत स्लो एवोल्यूशन रही है, और बहुत मतलब इन द लास्ट वन, अगर मैं एक डेकेड को माइनस कर दूं, सो स्टार्टिंग फ्रॉम 2008 टू 2015-16 की मैं बात करूं तो काफी स्लो रही है. एंड देन देयर वाज अ इंस्टेंट hike in how content really plays in importance. Brands की onboarding बहुत तेज हुई है और हमें बताया जाता था कि जी brand को humanize करना बहुत important है. And I think that is also an old story now. Ab brand has not only humanized itself into real people, like they have ambassadors, they have influencers. So there has been a very interesting evolution in the past decade or so, and it has gone really quickly. So मैं तो बहुत ही शुरू से देख रहा हूँ और ये देख रहा हूँ कि there has been a lot of changes in how Pakistan particularly has adopted to digital versus the rest of the world.
Okay, that takes me to the next question. What influence do celebrities and social media personalities have on our youth? Considering कि हमारा consumption बहुत ज़्यादा change हो गया है, हमारा एक connection एक build हो गया हुआ है कि वैसे भी एक स्टडी है ना कि पाकिस्तान में 90% ऑफ द फॉलोइंग जो हमारी हम जिन लोगों को फॉलो करते हैं वो इन्फ्लुएंसर्स हैं. सो व्हाट काइंड ऑफ द इन्फ्लुएंस दीज सेलिब्रिटीज हैव ऑन आवर यूथ? सो कामिल, आई कैन स्टार्ट विद यू.
See, we need to understand and we need to dissect थोड़ा सा इस चीज को. Celebrity influence has come very recently. अगर आप इस चीज को इस तरह देखना चाहें कि जो जनरेशन Z जिसकी अब हम बात करते हैं, they have their own aspirations, और जो एरा जिसके अंदर ये डेवलप हुए हैं सारे लोग, they have really absorbed a lot from the world. इस के अंदर इकोनॉमिक क्राइसिस भी रहे हैं, इसके अंदर वॉर्स भी रही हैं, इसके अंदर क्लाइमेट की भी बात हुई है, इसके अंदर फैशन लाइफस्टाइल ट्रेंड हैज कंप्लीटली टेकन अ न्यू शिफ्ट. सो अब अगर मैं सेलिब्रिटीज की बात करूं, सो दे एक्चुअली कैरी अ लॉट ऑफ वेट. उनकी वॉइस डज मैटर. समटाइम्स देयर वॉइस मैटर्स अ लॉट मोर देन figures like who are leaders, who are political leaders, or even sportsmen for that matter. So celebrities do carry a lot of weight. What they say, how they say it, matters a lot, and people do listen. They create a big impact in our society. So hence, it has to be a very responsible voice that has to come. Yes, everybody has their own tribe now. Every influencer or every celebrity has their own tribe. But what I feel and what I see right now, even from a marketing end or when I operate my brand with influencers, I see that it is very tricky कि आपने किस influencer को on board लेना है और किसको नहीं लेना. Because interestingly, सुबह को एक influencer जो है, अब आप celebrity को भी थोड़ा सा define करने की कोशिश करें, क्योंकि अब celebrity वो नहीं है जो सिर्फ टीवी पे है. Celebrity is anybody who has a number, has its own tribe. So ये बहुत मैटर करता है कि अब आपने इस सेगमेंटेशन में खुद कहाँ से अपने आप को एसोसिएट करना है. Regardless of that, their voice does matter. They have a lot of weight, and they are one of the key driving forces today to either Gen Z or Gen Alpha, which is going to be coming in the next 7-8 years.
So, Safa, same question to you. And also, being an influencer, what sort of the burden of responsibility is on you when you know that your content can influence someone and has an impact on them?
I really agree with what Kamil Saab said, and I just want to kind of extend that point. The first thing that you need to understand about influence is that either brands taking it up or anything, they take it because there's a medium of voice. There's a person who has dedicated, let's say, 100,000 people who are watching that person. So you take that medium first of all. So what brands are doing or what any other particular, let's say, organization who is trying to get in touch with the influencer is they're trying to take that medium that, hey, how about you tell your followers about it? So we need to understand, first of all, the medium. The medium is that you're my dedicated audience. I want to tell you all about it. The second thing is having that human touch, having that personalized touch. If you watch an ad on TV, you know for sure that that celebrity is not probably using that product. It's just an ad. It's a storyline. It's perfectly shot. It's photoshopped. It's whatever. But with influencers, you have that human, realistic touch, which is sort of fading away with obviously so many insecurities kind of popping up. We can talk about that on another note. But with influencers, if somebody reaches out to me and says, hey, do you use this particular milk brand, and we want you to talk about how this milk brand has this and is on this price, or is on a sale, or is having a giveaway or whatever, then it is easier for me to showcase my life. People want to see if I use it in that in my life moment or whatsoever. But when we sort of summarize everything, it is all about we're using that influence just for the surface area or the capitalistic sort of intentions. We're using it to make people buy more products. That's about it. What we need to understand, that influence, the same influence that you are using to sell a certain product, you can talk about, let's say, climate change, you can talk about financial independence, you can talk about things that actually matter. But with so many brands putting in so much money into the influencer market, and random people sort of understanding that, hey, if we just post a story, if we just post a feed video, we're going to get so much money, people are now thinking about selfish gain. So while the influencers are influencing other people, their intentions and the way they're starting it out for their gain is sort of shifting people to the wrong direction. It's just that buy this, buy that. This is on sale, this is not on sale, this is a good product, this is a bad product. I feel like influence should be much more than just branded partnerships. It could be about, let's say, like I said, climate change. We could talk about how we can cut down on plastic, we can cut down on water usage, and these kind of things. And as while international influencers are definitely making their life motto and working sustainably about these issues, in Pakistan, we're sort of left behind because we're driven by money. And we're driven by money because of a lot of underlining issues as a country, which again is another topic. But this influence that I feel has really worked out for brands, but has not worked out for the public and for our future generation.
All right. Akbar, same question from you, especially the kind of content you create serves also as a gateway for people who like to spend time online to get entertained and just forget about the kind of the day they had and have a good laugh looking at the content. So what kind of influence do you think the kind of influences line are you from are having on our youth and our popular culture?
Okay. Very, very interesting points made by Kamil Saab and Safa. First of all, influencer is a term I really dislike. It's become a trope in our generation now, but I understand uh, the need to discuss this. Uh, Celebrity influence has always existed. From the time, when I was young, we used to go to the barber shop and tell the guy, Salman Khan, jaise baal kaat de. And then, trying to bowl like Wasim Akram, Shoaib Akhtar. So that sort of influence has always been there in our lives. It's just that now it's a lot more pervasive. So many more industries have popped up which have their own celebrities and influencers. And the thing is, I recently saw a documentary, or I don't know what, it was something on Netflix, and it basically said that on our device, behind our device exists thousands of very smart people whose sole objective is to get us to spend as much time on our phones as possible, right? So, as a human being, you're very ill equipped to battle all of that, exercise any amount of self control, and do whatever. So, then the question becomes, the content you are consuming, is that really worth consuming? And the celebrities who are creating that content, are they responsible people? So I do think that a lot of responsibility does ride on the shoulders of people such as ourselves. The responsibility I feel is that, back in the day, they used to say, sticks and stones may break your bones, but words will never hurt you. that appears to be no longer valid. And I agree with good reason. So the words I use, I'm very responsible. Sorry, I'm very careful that I choose these words responsibly so that they don't hurt the sentiments and feelings of anybody. In the past, I have used certain words, not with any sort of malicious intent, but through my own ignorance, I didn't know that these words have certain connotations, which at that time I was not aware of, and then these were pointed out to me. So I make sure that I'm very responsible with the use of words because that is my bread and butter. मैं अल्फाज इस्तेमाल करके मुझे कमाना है. And another thing, Safa जैसे कह रही थी कि बड़ा there's a very capitalistic sort of mindset around celebrity influence, especially this Instagram world now. And I think there exists an element of responsibility in that you show your real life, your genuine life, as opposed to a curated feed in which you only cherry pick the best moments that happen maybe once every 6 months. And that makes, because I've heard people tell me, I saw this certain celebrity was traveling to Italy and I felt so bad. Why can't I do this? And so that gives us, our youth especially, a very wrong picture of what people's lives are like. uh, it's a bunch of highs and lows, and sometimes this curated world makes others feel inadequate. So yeah, I think that sort of responsibility definitely needs to exist.
A very valid point, Akbar, and you said that you dislike the term influencer. Let's explore it a little bit. What is influencer? How do you define it? Does it come? Does it has to have a certain amount of number behind it? Like I have this many followers, then I become an influencer, or it can be someone who has like 10 followers, but 8 out of those 10 people listen to him. Does that make him a influencer as well? So what defines an influencer? Akbar, if you would like to start with that.
I think that's a very interesting question. I would subscribe to the school of thought Kamil Saab just talked about, that anybody who has their own tribe could be an influencer. I dislike the term because I prefer being called a stand-up comedian. That's what I've always wanted to do with my life. But it's not, obviously, there's nothing wrong with the term. So, yeah, anybody who can exert any amount of influence, anybody is an influencer, right? If you, for example, because of how politely or respectfully, let's say a normal person interacts with other people, that sort of politeness probably does impact other people and therefore has an influence. So if we really get into the nitty gritty of it, anybody is an influencer, good or bad. But for the purposes of capitalism, I think anybody with a significant following that can be monetized is perhaps what we popularly refer to as an influencer.
Okay. Safa, same question for you, but also you said you have a company called Mad Talent and that manages influencers and celebrity influencers. Let's put it this way. You are an influencer yourself. Does the element of insecurity comes in somewhere there when you're asked to recommend some other influencer other than you for a particular project? Also, another question is I would like to ask to the whole group is probably 7-8 years down the line, the digital space was for just the digital content creators, to very small number maybe, but they were very little. And initially, the space was for people who started the whole thing. Lately, our mainstream celebrities also jumped into it, and there is an element, there is a feeling that they have taken over the space entirely, and there is nothing left for a small influencer, a small content creator. So, how have you seen this shift?
So I'll go with the first part. Who is an influencer? I feel like anybody at your home, for example, my mother has a huge influence on me, the way I do my business, the way I lead my life, the way I cook, the way I, talk to people. I feel like she's an influencer in my life. But if we're looking at a social media influencer, first of all, I personally do believe, I don't know why it says influencer here, but I personally do believe that people call you an influencer, you are an influencer to them. And some people might call you one, some people might not call you one. It's completely up to them if you are an influence or if they feel like you are an influencer. What we are on social media are creators. There are some video creators, there are comedians, there are bloggers, there are food bloggers, there are vloggers. These are all the kinds of people that have a good paying job in a social media perspective. And there might be some people who might find someone as a good influence or a bad influence and give the term influencer of the year, right? The second question, I believe, was, sorry, could you repeat the second question?
Since you run a digital content creators management agency as well, so does the element of insecurity comes in when you are asked to pitch some other influencer for a particular brand, let's say, other than yourself? So how do you, since you are an influencer yourself, so how do you strike a balance over there?
So my agency represents at the moment 14 influencers, including me. And a lot of brands reach out for one particular influencer, and then we'll be like, oh, we have others as well if you'd like to work with them. And based on the audience or based on the reach, they decide to go ahead with that. But there are some times when they don't go ahead with a certain influencer. And I don't feel like there's any insecurity as such. But there is that sort of feeling that, you know, what am I not doing right? Why did they not pick me? But because I've been on the back end of these conversations with brands and agencies, most of the time it's not about this person's content, it's all about the money. Are they fitting your budget or they're not fitting your budget? I feel like with brands there's lesser insecurity, but within the social media realm there's a lot of insecurity. For example, somebody got nominated, why did I not get nominated? Somebody got a certain giveaway from an international brand, why did I not get that? Is somebody getting a better reach? Most of the influencers and content creators are all about numbers. Why is my video not working out? Why is it not going on to the Explore? It's all about becoming like a number game, that because we feel like if our numbers are not there, we're not going to grow. And if we're not going to grow, our sort of income is also going to remain stagnant. So there is a lot of insecurity when it comes to numbers. And now I can move on to your third question. Which was that?
Sorry. The third question was that initially the space was for digital content creators or normal users only. But post 2014, 15, or maybe 16, there has been an influx of mainstream celebrities, let's say actors and actresses, jumping into the bandwagon, and they have entirely probably taken over the space. The kind of brands initially a normal influencer used to endorse, now those endorsements are getting to those celebrities because of their following, of course. So do you think that they have taken over the platform entirely, and how the regular influencers are dealing with it?
So when brands want to work with an influencer, there's a reason why they want to work with that influencer, is because of their they show a bit of their life. Yes, while I agree with Akbar, they do handpick some moments that they want to showcase on social media, but those moments are what attracts a certain audience, and brands want to work with that influencer or content creator. Let's say there's an ex content creator who has 100,000 followers, and then there's a celebrity who has 3.5 million followers. So a brand wants to work with the influencer because of the connection they make with their audience. They respond to comments, they respond to DMs, they go like, ask me questions, they go on live sessions. Whereas the person with the 3.5 million followers is probably just going to post about it. The next day they're going to post about a competitor. There's no exclusivity, there's no human connection. That is just a video shout out. And while that celebrity has 3.5 million followers, if you ever look at it, do they really have an influence about a certain product? So I feel like it's a better route if people work with content creators when it comes to influencing them about a certain lifestyle product. Whereas celebrities have now recently realized that human connection is what influencers are being made on. That's the platform. So they're trying to get also that human connection. But making a connection with 100,000 people and making a connection with 3.5 million people is extremely hard. You have to listen to haters, you have to grow a very thick skin, you have to understand that there's going to be a lot of malicious words and pictures coming in into your inbox. So the celebrity sort of just understands that, hey, people know me, people like me, okay, fine, I'll write something, but that's about it. They will never be what an actual content creator is. They understand their audience, they respond to them. So celebrities, while they want to jump onto the bandwagon and show their life, they're also not ready for the scrutiny that is going to come by showcasing their life.
Okay, so the third question, I'll put it to Akbar now, because probably you also feel that way. Initially, there were a very few content creators, the kind of niche that you are catering to, and then we have seen a bunch of digital shows coming up where actual mainstream celebrities hosting those shows. So do you see that they are taking over the space which was initially for just the regular social media influencers and content creators, and how is that changing this whole landscape? Akbar, you're on mute. Your mic is on mute.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Anji, so right, I think that's one of the things I find beautiful about social media is it's a very democratic sort of thing. So there's no gatekeeping, there's no parchi system, there is no safarish. And what that means for people who create content is that as long as what you're making is worthwhile, it's good, there is an element of quality attached to it, it is going to attract an audience. It will cultivate a following, and we live in an age now where all you need is a phone essentially in order to throw your towel in. So the democratic aspect of social media is something that really I find really I really appreciate. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. So to your question, I'd say that celebrities are never going to be able to take over this social media space. One, because it is democratic, and what that means is the majority of our celebrities, mainstream celebrities, जिनको हम टीवी पे देखते हैं, they're not there because of any obvious talent. They're there because they're very good looking, or they have some sort of into this film industry or TV industry. There's a lot of nepotism there, and so on and so forth. So the only people who are going to make it on social media are those celebrities who are actually talented and have something to offer. So I don't believe that they'll ever take over the space.
Okay, before I move to the questions we are getting from the audience, Kamil bhai, I would like to ask the same question to you. We have seen that in past few years, celebrities, the mainstream celebrities, are trying to take over the space. So, how a brand draws a comparison, or when they make a decision uh, of taking a celebrity on board or influencer on board. So how is a brand, from a brand perspective, you are looking at this thing, that how is it going forward?
So यार अगर मैं brand specific बात करूँ ना, the thing is that for me celebrity is जिस तरह सफा ने भी earlier she spoke about कि जी we really need to understand किस medium से वो आ रहे हैं, किस channel से वो आ रहे हैं. So for me celebrity onboarding will always be, अगर वो TV का celebrity तो for me उसको space define कर दी गई है कि वो टीवी या फिल्म या किसी भी एक certain screen का celebrity है. So I would always use them for that medium. And as Akbar said, it's not possible for them to actually take over and fill that space completely, because for them, their core job is completely something else versus a content creator or people who do this for a living every day. उनकी एक अपनी universe है. So I would always, and I have worked with the influencers very recently from a Mitchell's platform, and we never took celebrities on board. Celebrity. They were influencers, and they have their own cult. They have their own demographics that they have to state. But I'd like to state one thing, which really bothers me into this entire saga of content creation and influences, and that is कि हम बहुत दफा बात करते हैं inclusion की. And we need to understand that एक टाइम था जब टीवी ड्राइव करती थी conversation on social. Now things have completely changed. Now social drives a lot of conversation on TV. TV के पास एक certain content limitation है. वो ड्रामा बनाता है या वो न्यूज़ बनाता है या वो म्यूजिक बनाता है, उसकी एक अपनी डोमेन है. But beyond that, if they really have to connect, they always pick up conversations from the influencers or from the digital media platforms. जब मैं बात करता हूँ inclusion की, and what really scares me now is we are not building conversations on a mass level in an inclusive way. But I follow Akbar, and when he gives a message or when he talks about something, उसके अंदर अगर कोई social message है, तो that is coming from the society. That is a social problem or a social challenge or a social subject that one needs to talk about. But if you look at the masses, as Safa said, today our influencers just wants to look beautiful. The numbers are based on a certain lifestyle or a fashion statement. But what about conversations, and what about those subjects that are living around us? So ना उसकी कोई बात कर रहा है, ना उसके ऊपर बहुत ज़्यादा build-up है. And as a pain point, one of my very recent example where I was shooting an ad film just few days ago at Qaid-e-Azam Library. Jokes apart, the amount of content creators, be it from a TikTok platform or any other platform, agnostic of being a platform, the amount of people standing outside a library was really shocking for me. It really did hurt me from a point where there is no problem in for these people to come in and create content, but where is the real influencer? Every influencer has an influencer, you know. If Akbar said that, you know, there were times of Shoaib Akhtars and Wasim Akrams, they were the influencers. Where are the influencers of influencers? Why wasn't there anybody driving an event which could have really inspired these content creators to talk about something which really mattered? How much are we going to really keep on talking about the visual appeal of everything? So sorry, I did digress, but that is the whole idea, that the sheer volume and the mass that has come in with a simple device as a mobile phone. I don't think that TV celebrities will ever be able to take that space, but it's actually the other way around. Now the social media or these influencers are going to the TV station or the film station versus the other way around, and they are actually learning. The celebrities are learning how to use social media from the upcoming Gen Z influencers.
Okay, so thank you so much for your answer. Now we have questions that we got from our viewers. The first one is, despite its importance, no measurement scale exists to check the authenticity of social media influencers. How can the youth of today distinguish between fiction and reality? Safa, can you start with that?
Yeah, definitely. So I think that's a very interesting question. Despite its importance, no measurement scale exists. First of all, I want to understand why this person wants to look at the authenticity of like their followers. Usually you can check someone's followers and whatsoever, but the distinguishment between fiction and reality of whatever their content is being produced, I think it's up to the influencer or the content creator who wants to put it out there, right? If I today want to say, oh, I made millions and millions of dollars today, and this is my lavish life, and this is what I want to put out there, there will be some people who will call it BS on it, and there will be some people who will say, oh, I'm inspired, maybe I want to work harder. So while you really want to look into the reality of things, you need to understand that social media generally is a very handpicked moment out there. There will be some people who put their sad moments out there. It's better for you to get a reality check by following them. But if somebody is constantly being like, my life is great, everything is amazing and all that stuff, it's okay, because that's what they want to put out there. So I don't think there's anything wrong with putting out hand-picked moments. It's just that you need to understand that maybe their mental health does not allow them to put their weak moments outside. So I think it's personally okay. And if you want to follow them for their happy moments, you can follow someone else for putting out the real moments.
Okay. Akbar, building on that question, initially in times of the conventional media, there is a role of, let's say, sanity check, or in terms of a newspaper, there used to be an editor whose role used to edit the news to see if it fits the bill or not. But in the case of digital content, the content creator has the responsibility of editor as well, or the role of editor has gone out completely. So what sort of responsibility that comes, this power comes up with? So how do you deal with that?
That's a very interesting question, and Safa offered one perspective on it. I'd like to offer another in terms of the authenticity of content. I think it's a very, very difficult thing in this day and age, because there's so much. We now find that there's entire organizations dedicated to promulgating fake news and disinformation, and a lot of it looks so authentic, so you don't really know what to believe. And I think a lot of us, with our parents at least, prime example being our parents, we've experienced that barrage of WhatsApp forwards with sensational news and headlines and whatnot. So we need to understand that this is another ugly aspect of social media that is now a reality, in that there are people who contrive and construct information in ways that is malicious, that is intended to mislead. And for somebody like myself, for example, as somebody who primarily gives out the news in a funny way every week, I would say the only thing that helps me distinguish from wrong from right, not in the moral sense, but in the correct to fake sense, is that I've been educated in a way that I have been encouraged to think critically. So something that sounds too good to be true often is. Then there's this other aspect of checking the source, whether it originated from like a legitimate source, something that is respected, or just Reuters ho gaya, AFP and whatnot, and not just some random Twitter account with 2 followers. So yeah.
Okay, coming by next question, in fact, two questions. One of the question is that the kind of conversation we had offline many times is that what's the best time to post on social media? The second question is, how do you make money from digital presence?
I think the whole aspect of when to post is outdated now. There is no time to post. You post when you want to post. It's just that where are you posting? So it's not one size fits all. If it's YouTube, you post whenever you want to post. People have their bell icons, and things will pop up, and you can watch what you want to watch. If you're not, then obviously you can search. So frankly, there is no particular time to post. People are glued to their screens 24/7, so they'll watch whenever there is content coming up. What was your second question?
How do you make money through your online presence or digital presence?
Well, in life, if you want to make money, you just have to work smart and hard. There is no other way. But obviously, I think Akbar would be the best person to answer that, because it's how frequently do you put up content? Where do you put up content? If you're putting up content on the right channel or not? And if you are just a beautiful looking person, then I think start posting a lot of selfies on Instagram, and one fine day, some brand will come and pick you up and start paying you lots of money for I don't know what reason, but maybe your looks. So, sorry, that's the reality, and that's how it is. That's how brands operate. Nobody has paid me ever, despite the fact that I do put up selfies once in a while. My Instagram I adopted when it was launched, and to date I just have 700 followers versus some of the folks that I work with who've got 10,000 plus. So there is just work hard. Why do you want to make money just off social media? I mean, there are other better ways also. But it's your journey, it's your path. So work hard. That's all I can say.
Okay, before I take this question to Akbar, Safa, I would like to ask you, on top of these two questions, how often should I post on social media to become an influencer? This is one of the questions.
How often do you post on social media to become an influencer is a different question, and I honestly don't have an answer for that. But how often do you want to, like, you should post on social media would be about 3 to 4 times a week. The right time to post on Instagram, particularly, would be 7 to 10 p.m. Pakistan time. For YouTube and Facebook, I think around 4 to 5 p.m., where people are generally checking their phones, it's best to post around that time, because the first 1 hour, if it picks up your content, it does have a longer time. It has basically a scope to actually get more views and whatsoever. Again, YouTube and Facebook is a discovery platform, so you randomly see things. Even if you don't follow a certain person, you will randomly see it if it's relevant to your circle of friends. On YouTube, it's again suggested by according to the topics. On Instagram, now Instagram has started showing you content of people that you don't even follow, because you've saved a certain content piece which was relevant to that, and it will actually say, because you saved this, because you saw this, because you liked this, we're showing you this. So 7 to 10 p.m. I would definitely recommend for Instagram. Twitter, I'd say get off it. Just get off Twitter right now. And I think for TikTok, as many times as in a day. You can post 20 times in a day and people will love it.
Okay. Twitter has been my most favorite platform since 2009. So yeah, that hurts. Akbar, I would like to ask you how to make money with your digital presence.
Thank you for the question. I quite enjoyed Kamil Saab's jaded diatribe replete with cynicism. I will like your selfies, sir. But it's very interesting what you said. I think, this exists with every generation, in that we are a little skeptical about what the generation after us is doing. So, like right now, people my age, people our age will, not all of them, some of them might be like, what is this cryptocurrency? काम पे जाते हैं, नौकरी करते हैं, फिर पैसे बनाते हैं. What is this? You're sitting at home and you're making money. So, this is something that is natural. And but the thing is, in this day and age, I know kids who are less than 10 years old, they're playing games all day on their phones, and they're making millions of rupees. They're richer than their fathers. So this is also an aspect of reality that exists. So the thing is, how do you monetize this platform? How do you make money off it? I think I'd just like to share my ideology behind it, as opposed to some get rich quick scheme. You must, anybody who's aspiring to be an influencer, you must do it for the right reasons. It can't be because you want to get famous, you want people to send you messages, you want PR packages, you want free stuff. It can't be for that reason. It's not a sustainable sort of life goal. you must do it for the right reasons. And what the right reason is, that social media exists as a tool to leverage your existing skill. So what that means, for with my example, is I was a stand-up comedian prior to joining YouTube or Facebook. So I leveraged my skills as a comedian and started creating comedic content. Since I was doing it for the right reasons, I believe I managed to cultivate a following. And because of that, multiple streams of revenue opened up. So I very quickly like to highlight what these are. Number one, as you cross a certain threshold, you become eligible for ad revenue. Ad revenue you get of both Facebook and YouTube. After a certain point, even though the conversion is lower in Pakistan, still I am in that position. I know people who make a lot of money off just ad revenue, and the think about the comforts that brings. I do not need to be in this room. I can be anywhere in the world as long as I post 4 times a month, every week. That is, I can make a certain number of dollars every month, in which can sustain my expenses. ठीक है जी. Number two, this is the paradigm shift that came for me was thinking about what I do as a business, and not as, just being like an artist fixated with art. So what that means is that it's a model that is cyclical. As jitna मैं content banata जाऊंगा, as much as I do that, my numbers are going to increase. When I increase my numbers, brands are going to want to use my voice to sell their products. So that brings in the second stream of income, which is, in addition to ad revenue, you get brand endorsements. Number three, this is something I learned from a YouTube channel which is called Tronics Fix. That guy just gets electronics and fixes them for YouTube. So think about the channels of the revenue, the avenues of income that exist for him. One is ad revenue, then there's brand endorsement. The person gets products from eBay, fixes them, and then sells them at a profit. So that profit is number three. That person has a referral link for the tools he uses. So when you click that referral link to buy that tool, you get the person gets a percentage of that fee. ठीक है जी. And number five is merchandise. So that guy wears his own merchandise, and people buy that, and then he gets money off it. So there exists five streams of income for this person. So yeah, it's a beautiful thing if you figure out the business behind it, but you have to be in it for the right reason. Sorry, being a little long-winded with that.
That's okay. And as far as video games are concerned, I can safely say that I am from the generation who has listened to "Bug Zaya kar rahe ho video games खेल के." I gave up that, and now I regret that decision. I would have made a lot of money by just playing video games. The element of mental health. I would like to ask Safa that what is toxic positivity on social media, and how can one avoid it?
Toxic positivity is a term we often use on social media, is when we see someone constantly happy, basically, and not really resonating with the downside of life. It could be it could be because they're either unaware of their privilege, or they could sort of, again, choose to put that perspective of their life out there. Toxic positivity does not, I think there's a responsibility on the person who's putting it out there, and also the person who's consuming the content. First, it is always beneficial for you to show all sides of life. There's a good side, there's a bad side. For example, if you did get a project, great. But if you did not get a project, how did you overcome that? That is what is missing on social media. And I feel like now, slowly Instagram versus reality is becoming a trend, so more people are hopping on it again. That's basically that. But when it comes to the person who's consuming that content, that person also needs to understand that nobody's life is perfect. I mean, this is just normal thing. I think when we grew up, we were reading books, and and even those books and story times, everything, we understood that it's never like one side of the story. There's so many dimensions to it. There's so many. There's also a sad part in life. So the person who's consuming that content needs to also understand that their life is not perfect. They might be putting that out there, but their life is not perfect. They also have problems like me. I don't need to hate on them just because they're putting their happy moments out. And even with private accounts, let's say nobody put their, I mean, especially with private accounts, I have this really huge sort of bone to pick with. When it comes to influencers, you're like, oh, put your sad life out there as well, put your struggle out there as well. But when it comes to private accounts, you're either putting up selfies and happy moments, you're putting travel content. Nobody's putting that pressure on you. So I feel like toxic positivity is again a responsibility on the creator and also the person who's consuming that content.
Okay, quickly, Kamil bhai, this is for you. How can social media be restricted or limited according to the values we want to inculcate in our children?
Yeah, I think it's a very in-depth subject on its own. How do you want to restrict? I think one thought is, why do you want to restrict? Restriction is something else in today's age. You can filter it out. It's better to filter out content. And I think when I see kids around me, they are far more, I'd say, liberal in terms of and understanding उनकी बहुत ज़्यादा है in terms of what kind of content do they want to consume on their own. But yes, they do need attention. So पहला तो मैं बड़ा as a parent भी ये बात करूँगा कि बड़ा simple है कि जी उनको जो मोबाइल फ़ोन देना है वो एक certain age तक दे दें. उनके साथ बैठ के content consumption जो है उसको encourage करें. What do you want them to consume? And then there is a point where they will take their adoption on their own. So restriction जो है वो is a very complex way of saying कि जी restrict कर दें. You cannot, in my view, you cannot restrict them, but you can filter it out. And I think their kids these days are wise enough to really filter out what they like, what they don't like, and what they want to consume. And I think it's a household responsibility as well. But that can only go to a certain extent. Once they have their own personal space, they have their own personal domain to operate in, then you can't really do much about it. It's just part of better parenting. That's all I can say. That's the only way to control. Unless until you really want to become a pharaoh in your house, कि जी आपका इंटरनेट का पासवर्ड भी आप हर दूसरे दिन चेंज कर दें और डिस्कनेक्ट मोड आप ऐप से कर दें उनका फ़ोन या उनका डिवाइस या उनके लैपटॉप की बैटरी उठा के जो है किसी दराज में लॉक इन की में रख दें. इस तरह के काम करने तो ठीक है, you can restrict, but frankly, how can you restrict in especially in a time where the entire 1 year schools have been closed and kids have been operating online? I mean, you've fed them to a point where their window to the world is this little screen that they have, starting from education to doing their homeworks to being connected to their loved ones. Everything has a wire now, or in other terms, it's all wireless. But now their DNA has I think has completely changed in 24 months. The world has taken such a mega shift that even for brands like us or even companies like Safa, or how Akbar has actually transformed in these times is phenomenal. So I would say it's better to guide than restrict.
Okay, so it is better to guide than restrict. That's how we sum it up here. We have some more questions, but we sadly ran out of time. So I would like to thank all of you who logged into it, watched it. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much to all the panelists we have here. Safa, thank you so much. Akbar, thank you so much. Kamil, thank you so much. In 1 minute, if you would like to give any conclusion remarks, all of you. Thank you. Safa, we'll start with you.
Thank you so much for having me here. Very interesting questions, and I love how all of us have like different perspectives, but at the end of the day, the underlining message is the same. that social media definitely has a future. It should be used in the right way. One thing I definitely like to point out, which I felt like in this conversation and also with the questions coming up, we always assume that the people who are watching us are dumb and they need to be told what to do, what not to do, even with like toxic positivity or anything like that. I feel like while we are creating content, let's educate our watchers also with that ammunition to understand that life is not all hunky dory and everybody has a downside and an upside. So let's not try to call it out so much. Thank you so much for having me here. It was wonderful talking to you all.
Akbar, what would you like to have to say?
Thank you so much for having me. Right, that was a splendid job you did with moderation. Thank you, Safa, and thank you, Kamil Saab, for your interesting thoughts. बहुत मजा आया सुन के, and thank you everybody who's watching. I'd just like to conclude by reiterating what I said, that social media exists as a tool to leverage your skills. Don't get into it just to be famous. Everybody has a unique skill set, and not everybody needs to be a comedian or a blogger or a lifestyle Instagrammer or a model or whatever. Everything, har cheez ki market hai. You will see, if you go into that YouTube rabbit hole, that there exists a market for everything. So find out what it is for you, and benefit of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Kamil Saab, your concluding remarks, and then we'll end the session. Thank you.
I'll just build on what Safa and Akbar said. Firstly, thank you. I think it was very interesting conversation, a lot of different perspectives, and people from different generations also at the same time. But I just like to say two things. Frankly, because I sit on a certain side of the table also, and I look at things, we really need to kill this concept of fair and lovely DNA that we have, and which has evolved into the prime Instagrammers and all of these things. Secondly, I think, and I'd like to say this through this platform, that we need to be inclusive about how we say things. We need to be responsible, and I think it goes both ways. We cannot just blame or say that how things are being said irresponsibly or responsibly is just the influencer's job. I think it is our job, and it is our role as people from this society to really talk about things which can be extended through the voice of our influencers today. So I think we have to be inclusive, we have to be more responsible, and there is a lot that we can talk about once we get out of this fair and lovely DNA that we've developed over generations.
Thank you so much, everyone. And with that, we conclude this session. This session is ending here, but School of Tomorrow has more sessions lined up. So you can check out on our Facebook page and sotevents.com. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you. Bye-bye. Khuda Hafiz.